For joining me tonight here on the East Coast whenever you're watching and whenever you're tuning into this. If you're watching live, thanks for tuning in live. And if you're watching this in the past, present, future hour, I greatly appreciate you guys tuning in to the audio podcast or the live stream version. And if you're watching this on YouTube or watching the live stream, I did a cold open tonight. No, intro theme. But if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, our new theme music is done by a friend of mine who I've met online through one of the Discords I'm in, and he does great music, so give it up for Chip. He's done the new audio theme, and hopefully we'll get a new video version of the intro up there too, so in that way I can actually have a proper intro. The other one, it's good, but it's a bit outdated. My logos have changed and everything else. So, anyway. Let's see, what else in terms of announcements? As always, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SMW_NDC. Hashtag Whitfield Report. You can follow me on Minds and Gab, but not really, because I'm never on there, at Sam Whitfield, Facebook.com/Whitfield Report, and thesamwhitfield.com is my website address. As always, please subscribe to the audio podcast on whichever platform you listen to podcasts on. In fact, leaving me a nice review and a 5-star rating would be an excellent birthday present. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that like button, you savages. And I don't know what's happening, but it seems like our view count is a little low. So, add in right, thanks to everyone who is tuning in. Maybe Ecamm is, not showing proper statistics. I don't know, but either way, thanks to everyone who is, tuning in and chatting. So, for tonight's show, folks, I'm gonna do something a little different. I had some topics that I was going to cover, for the show in terms of politics and whatnot. I may or may not get to those, but tonight, folks, I want to do something that I've never really done before on the show, that people have asked me to do before, and it's nothing dirty. So all you perverts in the audience, don't think you're gonna get anything special like that. But a few of you guys have asked me some personal questions about my life, and some of about my life with a physical disability and whatnot. A couple of you guys have been interested in hearing me talk about that. In previous years, here's the thing about me, folks. This is my podcast, and I'm the host, but at the same time, I don't necessarily feel as if this podcast needs to be about me, per se. I'm a guy who likes to comment on other stuff, in the world, like pop culture and politics and whatnot. So, I've talked a little bit about myself, here and there, but I've never really felt like, like I needed to use this platform to tell my life story. But when you turn 25, and here's the other thing. I turned 25 yesterday, and granted I'm not like old, but although some teenagers like in my neighborhood have called me boomer already, which I find hilarious. But like at this point, I'm still young, but also I'm old enough to where like I've now seen some shit, and now I've experienced some stuff in my life. So I'm still young and I'm still learning, but at the same time, like I've seen enough to where I feel like I can maybe like tell some life stories, and they're valid because they're not just from some random kid, right? So I don't want to go into too many graphic details, but I guess the easiest place to start would be I was born prematurely, in January, on January 17th of 1995. My mother, I can't exactly remember what happened, but long story short, something happened and she had to go into the hospital, and they took me to save her life, and they weren't expecting me to survive, but they revived me too, and luckily I survived too, so that was good. Then about I want to say like 2 weeks later, my lungs were underdeveloped, so I was on a respirator, and for some reason the alarms weren't hooked up properly, and so as a result, like I had somehow like pulled the respirator out, or it became disconnected, and I was without oxygen for like a couple hours. That should have killed me, but it didn't. I suffered some brain injury, and that gave me cerebral palsy. Doctors told my parents I would never walk, never talk, never roll over, never be able to do anything. But instead of being vindictive and, angry. My parents were like, well, instead of, focusing on a lawsuit or being vengeful, let's get our son the best care that we can. And so pretty much, for the first, basically from the time I was a child, into my teens, I had speech therapy, physical therapy. I learned how to talk by age 3. I had a really good speech therapist. And, I can talk normally, pretty much. My upper body strength is pretty good. My lower body strength really is pretty good too. It's just my lower legs are somewhat weak, and so that's why I'm in a wheelchair. Like I said, I don't want to get into too many of the nitty-gritty details, but long story short, I have had to basically, work pretty much for everything that I've been able to do physically. And I'm not saying that I'm like some, great or, fantastic person for doing that, or that I should be, admired for that. But, I did what I had to do because from a very early age, I had a fighting spirit. I wanted to have a good life. And so I worked my ass off then, and I've, been working my ass off now in other areas to make my life the best it can be. And, whatnot. So, all of that is background to the fact that, aside from everything, and folks, for those of you who are chatting right now, I can see your comments. I'm not going to read them quite yet. If you have comments, I'll check them. But I'd like to, finish this story, and then, later on, I'll read through some of the comments and see what people have to say. So aside from all of the physical, therapy and whatnot, I was blessed to, be able to go to a school where I was pretty much, from the time I was in kindergarten, I was pretty much mainstreamed, in all my classes. I didn't really have any special education courses, or I guess, whatever they call it now. I did have, assistants who would help me physically, but other than that, I was pretty independent in terms of my academics. And the other thing that was good growing up is I basically, all my life, have had friends who have more or less treated me normally, for the most part, from the time I was a kid. Me being disabled wasn't really ever a thing with my friends. I was just one of the guys. And one of my best friends, who's been on the podcast before, Luke, he's been my friend for 20 years now. I've known him since I was 5, and we've, we were best friends growing up, and then we drifted apart a bit, during middle school and high school. He, kind of fell into a different group of people than I did, and we kind of separated, a bit. But then we reconnected kind of, after high school. He, there was a big change in his life that kind of brought brought him back to me in a positive way. And he's like the brother that I never had growing up. And same with my friend Ty, who I've known since middle school. Big shout out to both of those guys for having my back. And countless other friends who I grew up with. And I had some good lady friends along the way too. And some exes too. But for the most part, I was a pretty normal kid. So one of the things that I would like to think has helped me through all the shit in my life and all the crap I've had to overcome is I've always had a very dry sense of humor. I've loved comedy, whether it be stand-up, dark comedy, light comedy, dad jokes. I love joking around with my friends. I've always been into, just kind of joking and around with my friends and having a good time and having a sense of humor. You can't take yourself too seriously when you have a disability. Because if you do, you end up becoming like a prick. And I'm sure there are those out there who think I am one, and I can be from time to time, but hey, so can everyone. But as the great Andrew Breitbart once said, I have two modes. I have jocularity and righteous indignation, and I'm the same way. I love to joke around with my friends and have a good time and chat about everything. My guy friends and I would do everything in middle school and high school, from tell jokes to rating other girls in the school and who we thought was hot, not, and everything else in between. We got into some trouble and had a grand time. So, when political correctness really came about in the era of Obama during the 2008 election, and when hope and change became like this whole big thing, and political correctness and social justice, warriorism and that whole culture started to become prevalent. You couldn't tell jokes anymore. People started becoming offended by every little thing, or at least the social justice warriors did. It became like a cardinal sin to, flirt with attractive women or, girls, or, make a semi-suggestive but not real, to make like a flirtatious comment or something. That became a no-no. It became uncool for, me to make, jokes about myself and my own disability. I was actually told that, I shouldn't disparage myself. I once, in a, one time when I was in the lunchroom, we were all joking around about how, one friend was a stoner, and, how, one guy never studied, and I called myself, a lazy cripple, and then some kid, came up to me and basically scolded me for, making an obvious joke about myself, and, like I said, that was when hope and change in '08 was, starting to take hold, so I knew that shit needed to change. It wasn't really my mission to become a big, grandiose talk show host, but I basically, how I started this podcast was at the time when I was in middle school, I was also using dictation software, and to write papers and whatnot. And this was back when dictation was really crappy to use. And I had a microphone, and I had been listening to Rush Limbaugh at that point. So the other thing is, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I was also a nerd when it came to science and history in school. Like, those were history and, like, politics. Like, those were the two subjects I really liked. English, too, and literature. Those are some of my favorite subjects in school. Couldn't care less about math. Did not like math at all. Still don't. That's why I'm a communications and, like, I guess business major. Obviously, like, I'm good enough to balance a checkbook somewhat and do, like, basic math, but calculus and algebra and all that theoretical, went over my head. But I was really, into history and politics from an early age, and especially politics. Since I couldn't really, like, play sports, although I am interested in sports, but since I really couldn't, like, play sports, like, politics and current events, like, those were kind of my sports from an early age. So, starting a podcast, which is what I did. Like, I started it when I was, I think, in, like, 8th grade. It was 2008. And I just started, like, talking about what I thought was going on. And didn't get too many listeners. Like, I think for, like, the first 2 years, I maybe got, like, 5 or 10 listeners. And then, like, my freshman year of high school, one of my friends found it, and, I started spreading around the school a bit. And then, also, in 2011, that was when I got onto Twitter, back when Twitter was actually, like, a place where people could communicate. That was when I found out about Andrew Breitbart. And, like, that was back when, there were lots of, like, conservatives on Twitter. In fact, TCOT, top conservative, like, on Twitter, that was one of the first hashtags I used to promote the podcast. And so I grew a following and started promoting the show. As I've mentioned, in previous specials before, when Andrew Breitbart passed away in, like, 2012, I reached out to Ben Shapiro, who graciously accepted my offer to do, like, an interview. And this was right after, like, the Pierce Morgan debate, like, right after, the whole Sandhook shooting happened, and Ben went on to Pierce Morgan. And this was, like, right after Benghazi. That I know that podcast is on the channel if you guys want to listen to that one, if you haven't already. Then I got brought on to Junior Factor Nation because there were other young conservatives doing shows at that point too. That was the other cool thing I kind of, coming of age in the Breitbart era, is, like, Andrew inspired other young conservative teenagers to get involved in their own thing. So, we kind of all came up together and formed a network, and then we kind of fell apart and went our own ways. And long story short, I ended up here. Like, I'm going into my 12th year come March of this year. But, through it all, people, I don't know how to say this, but obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. A lot of crazy shit happening right now. But I am an optimist still, because crazy shit always happens. It's the way of the world, and it has been since the beginning. And we're kind of in a point now where, we are in peak clown world, I guess, at a certain point, but at the same time, we're not. And what I mean by that is things may seem like clown world out there when you look at what the news is saying and what the media is saying. But for every clown world, incident out there that's in the media, there are always people who tune into this podcast and other podcasts that, get it, who are, normal like me. People who I meet in my daily life who have found this podcast, they're yeah, I really like the fact that you're just a normal guy talking about stuff. So, things are crazy, sure, and they might get more crazy, but I guess my one piece of advice for people is don't despair. Be a happy warrior. If I had gotten depressed, and granted there have been times in my life where I've been depressed and heartbroken, but if I had a cynical view of the world, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so, I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker here. And lots of people have asked me to do that. And this is another reason why I usually don't like talking about myself, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm not someone who is trying to be like a Jordan B. Peterson. I'm not trying to purposely help anyone massively, change their lives. One of the reasons for that, and I think the biggest reason for that, is I realized that, I have had to overcome a lot of things in my life, and I've done pretty well. I also realized that I'm a flawed human being, and that I'm not perfect, and that I have flaws. I fully realize that. And so, realizing that, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm the right one to give, life advice, because I'm still trying to figure this stuff out on my own too. I don't have the answers, and I don't want to lead, people down, down a wrong path or something. And I don't want to, become a cult of personality. I'm here to, entertain people and, sometimes inform them, but I don't see myself as some grandiose thought leader. I'm not here to save the world. Maybe when I was an idealistic teenager, I'll admit, when I started off a bit, during 2011, 2012, when, my friends and I were all doing a podcast network together, we thought we were the shit, and we thought we were going to we thought we were going to save America from, from clown world, and we didn't save the entire country, but we saved each other and some of our, friends, and it's, it's an impossible, we weren't going to get it done in 5 years, and, it's an ongoing battle. I mean, basically what I'm trying to say is, we're not superheroes, even though we maybe thought we were. We're just all trying to figure this shit out. And the other thing too is there are lots of crazy people on the left, and there are lots of crazy people on the right. But I have to tell you that there's a fair amount of people who, who I've met who are on the left, like they're liberal, but they're not like crazy left. And we can hang out just fine. And yeah, we disagree, but we have a great time, and we can talk to one another and like debate each other and have a conversation about stuff. And there are people on the right who are more conservative, like that too. And I find that talking to people is really the greatest thing you can do. That's the other reason, folks, why I've kind of dipped out of, I wouldn't say I've quit politics, but as far as like, trying to be like a political activist, so to speak, like, obviously I will help support Trump in the next election, but like, I have friends who work for, Turning Point, and, friends who work for Yale, or, Young Americans for Liberty, and, God bless them. They're all doing, good work in their respective fields, but I'm not someone who can, campaign for, politicians. I just, even the good ones, Trump this go around, like, maybe the only one who, I get like heavily involved in, but I find that, the best thing for me is, and, for a lot of people I know, there's a certain subset of us who are just better at talking to people directly. Like, I'm talking to you guys right now who are watching this live. I'm talking to the people who are watching this in the archive, like, and who are listening to this on the audio podcast. I'm talking to you guys directly. Like, I'm not trying to shill for, a politician who I may or may not, believe in fully. I'm not, putting my livelihood, on the line of, for someone else. I'm just talking to you directly. And it's funny, I kind of described this to a friend once. Like, the way I kind of picture this, like, I'm at like a bar. We're all at like a bar together, and we're just talking. Like, for right now, it's kind of like a one-way conversation, but like, obviously I can see the chat, and I can see what some of you guys are saying. And when I have like a group, when I have like guests and people on the show, like, I like to keep it semi-casual, and like we're having a normal conversation. That is what I like about Joe Rogan, is like, yeah, I mean, agree or disagree with, his content and whatnot, but for the most part, he seems to have like a pretty natural dialogue, which I've always admired about him. That's really what I like. And also, I mean, I've seen people get hurt, by Turning Point and kind of by the political machine. I mean, I've kind of been hurt by, it indirectly, and then like all this drama too within the past 2 years. Obviously, like, a lot of you guys know about that. I'm not someone who's really, like, that was never my intention to get involved in all that drama. Like, the only reason why I got involved with that is because I met, people who I respect very much, and those people were, slandered, and I was slandered, somewhat, but, along with them, but, we cleared all that stuff out, and so I'm back to, like, just my regular format, and, that's the other thing, is, like, I'm fiercely loyal to my, friends when I need to be. So, folks, just try and have a positive attitude and try and be good to one another, as best you can. Try to reflect, internally when you can. None of us are perfect. Obviously, I'm not someone who has their heads in the cloud about, stuff in the world. But, I'm not a pessimist either. I've had to deal with, disability, with, overcoming everything from loss and heartbreak. My parents went through a nasty divorce, which kind of I'll admit fucked me up a bit in my, growing up and in my early teen years, but I was able to overcome it and become a stronger person. Moving to Florida from Colorado after my senior year was quite a change. I didn't have any friends here when I first started out. It was hard to adjust, but luckily I've adjusted pretty well. And you guys who have been listening to the show for a long time, for the past 6 years, you guys have really helped me with that, each and every one of you. So thank you for that, from the bottom of my heart. As some of you may know, I lost my uncle, whom I dearly loved, to alcoholism, to liver failure, 2 years ago. My uncle Gary, who, as I've mentioned before, was he's exactly what I'm talking about. He was a liberal. He grew up in the 60s. The best way I could describe him is he was kind of not really a hippie, but he had the Jim Morrison cool guy type of vibe. He was also a little bit like Hugh Hefner, and a little bit like Charlie Sheen. Not as crazy or as radical as either those two guys, but he was a cool guy. He never had kids. He was married. He got divorced at one point and was kind of like a bachelor for the last few remaining years of his life. And I had some good times with my uncle. Some stories of which I'm not going to broadcast, on air. He took some of our memories to his grave, and I may, some of my friends in my real life know the stories, and they're great story fodder, and maybe down the line I'll tell them at some point, but at the same time I've got to have some stories myself. But I miss him terribly, but he was a good man, and he helped mold who I am a lot. My biological father, he and I have not always gotten along. We've had some struggles. I will say that. I mean, those of you who know me know that that's not, and who know him, it's not really that much of a secret that we haven't always gotten along. But we've mended our relationship, and we're getting on a lot better, in my adult years than we did when I was growing up. He's really taught me how to forgive. Obviously, my mother, I've never really talked to her, but suffice it to say, my mother is obviously the reason I'm here, and she's never given up on me, and I can't even express how much I love my mother. I'm also Italian on my mother's side, so I'll admit I'm a bit of a mama's boy, but I guess in an Italian way. I'm not like a like a mommy's boy, so to speak. But my stepfather is a great guy too. I've been very blessed to have two, good fathers who have, taught me many valuable things, and an awesome stepmother, a stepbrother, and then, like I said, I have friends who are like the brothers I've never had. So, and you guys who have tuned in and stuck with me for all this time, you guys know who you are. You guys are amazing. I want to give a shout out to the great Jason Veely. Thank you once again, sir, for giving me my start a long time ago. I know you're not really in the political game anymore, but you still deserve a shout out for taking a chance on me. Obviously, Ben Shapiro, we may disagree, but thank you, sir. Thanks to, Dan Sandini, the late Andrew Breitbart, Rush Limbaugh, who obviously I never met, but he was kind of one who kick-started all of this for me. Dennis Miller, who I've talked to a few times when he had his radio show, who, I'm not really a comedian, but if I have comedic styling, he's the one who influenced me. Rogan, obviously. Begrudgingly, I have to thank Owen Benjamin for kind of showing me what not to do. Let's see. There are just so many, people out there who who deserve thanks. Obviously, the DZ, the Savages, Versa Media, who I saw in the chat. You guys are awesome. Just the Savages, Gavin, McGinnis. So I'm stealing some of your audience members a little bit, but hat tip to you as well. Also, a shout out to Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey, The Who, Style Sense, I guess, or I guess Rock and Roll Attitude, The Clash, Sting and the Police, obviously. Let's see. I have to, I can't even remember who gave me this moniker because it was so long ago. But, I think it might have been an ex. But I just remember that, like, an ex, or I don't know if she was an ex, but at some point down the line, some chick I went to high school with, very, very attractive, by the way, gave me the nickname of like right wing hef. So I guess that moniker kind of sort of fits. Not sure. But anyway, obviously, thanks to Donald Trump, the God Emperor, Trump 2020 thus far. Oh boy. So, at this point, I'm just spitballing here, folks. Okay, now might be a good time to open up the fucking chat. So, let's see here. I'm good. Let's see. Holy crap, you guys have been chatting a lot. Also, I need to check something. Oh, crap. Shout out to Andy's Random Edits for giving me $30. Thanks, bro. Fat Keck Boy with $5. Thank you guys. Shit, I didn't even give out the Streamlabs link, guys, and you guys didn't need to give me money, but seriously, I appreciate it. Let me see here. I've got my phone. Oh, also, thanks to Steve Jobs, too, for you know, I mean, granted, I'm not a corporate shill, but the one corporation I will shill for is Apple. And without them, the podcasting format wouldn't really have come to market. Let me see here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I got the PayPal. So, okay, I just wanted to go through that. Let's see. Let's see. General Flynn knows where the bodies. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, Islands. Hey, Alyssa. Hello, Versa Media. Hello, Zenit Ford. Hey, Spiralin, you're here. El Jefe, obviously. Dang dang to you, sir. Bobby Lagauche in the chat. A storm of wrenches. And to people in the various discords who are lurking. To Jimmy, aka Hojim. I don't know if he's watching, but to my almost twin brother over in England. God bless you too. Linda. So, this chat window is small. So, guys, there are too many comments in the chat. So, you guys are gonna have to stop chatting. Hello, Amethyst. Let's see. Oh yeah, Amethyst. So, or Damethyst. She's the reason. Well, one of the reasons why I started going to into E-Wars for the brief time. So, but now I'm back to the regular show format. So, let's see here. If I had the ability to take phone calls, folks, I would, and with that money I got from tonight, I might be able to afford a phone line for my Skype. Yeah, I know there are other configurations that I can do, but I do not have a mixer yet. So, also, I do want to let people know, because I know that some members of the audience get annoyed when I hold the mic, but I do want people to know that one of my friends, my best friend Luke, decided to get me one of those boom arm mics for my birthday that will clamp to my desk. He ordered it on Amazon, but I don't know if it's coming yet or if there's like a package. So, but he called me and was like, "Dude, you need a boom arm mic." I mean, I could buy one on Amazon now, but yeah, he's got one on the way, so I will wait. But yeah, boom arm is coming. So now I will have the mic in front of my face, and I am worried about the photoshops that you freaks are going to be doing once I have the boom arm mic. I worry. So I worry about the photoshops that some of you guys are probably doing right now, you sickos. So, and some of the memes too. god, the the Sam memes. So I am already panicking about that in anticipation. Maybe I'll get memes, maybe I won't. But I know who the memers are too. So yeah. Oh yeah, just place it well. Yeah, that's really reassuring. So let's see. Yeah, I'll probably do some more anecdotal stories sometime. Part of the thing is I have to figure out how to do anecdotal stories too, like in a way that doesn't dox anyone or doesn't dox myself. Oh, in terms of shoutouts too, big shout out to John Nerai, who may or may not be coming back. I don't know at this point, but he's a great podcaster too, even though he did a show for only like a couple months. Let's see. Someone messaging me on Discord. Oh no. That was nothing. So let me do this real quick. Let me actually hit do not disturb on Discord and set my status. Okay. Do not disturb. Okay. Excellent. Smithers. Yeah, I talked to myself too. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Get a free Google number. Yeah, I've tried that. It won't work with my software though. And plus, I mean, I have a Google number for other purposes. The problem is like I have a Google number for another business that I kind of have on the side, but I don't know if I can get two because I would need one for the show. Let's see. So, yeah, guys, at this point, I'm just kind of, I guess, rambling or grambling, whatever. So, let's see. Happy birthday, Sam. It was over 100 episodes, but thank you, sir. Oh, yeah, so you did make it past 100 episodes, Neri. So yeah, I mean, you're bona fide in my opinion. And we miss you. Your show was feel good and it was positive, so thanks. And then thank you to everyone who was wishing me a happy birthday. I really appreciate it. So, why am I sober, Sam? Because I was drinking earlier, and I don't have any beer in the house right now. But I had a couple beers with lunch, and I had three mojitos at PF Chang's last night, which is where we went. I do have some scotch out in the kitchen, so I might get some of that. But like I don't have like an ice bucket or anything I can get in here in this. I don't have like a freezer or anything. This is my. I'm in my room basically / office. This is the studio, so like I don't have a. I don't. This is kind of like a quasi man cave, but like not really. Obviously down the line, I would love to have like a big ass studio like Rogan does, where I can actually go and like work on the podcast and do stuff, and create cool shit. hopefully that'll come down the line here. Maybe once I'm 35, who knows? Give it another 10 years or so. Of course, we could all be canceled by then. We might not be. Like I said, I'm somewhat optimistic, although I'm a pragmatist too. So, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, what are all the emojis about? Let's see. Puppy flesh? Let's see. Time to get. Jeez. I know where spiraling is going. Actually, Milo Yiannopoulos, who I've emailed, but I've never actually had on. Unlike Versa Media, I'm jealous of them a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Milo at one point, back during his heyday, I remember he actually had the idea that if he got banned from YouTube and like all the other video streaming platforms, some of you guys might remember this too. He had the idea to live stream his show on Pornhub, of all places. And because I guess that like he had talked to a couple people over there and they were like, yeah, that's fine. But then again, like, I worry. So, geez, it's a weird time indeed, folks. But, anyway, I don't know if I have anything left in the tank here, folks. I could, like, even I've been spitballing, but even now, like, I'm kind of, I didn't really even like prepare any clips or anything. So I want to keep like doing the show, but I don't know if I, for the first time in my life, like I don't know if the show is still going on or if I should wrap it up or what. I know it's like midnight, so like technically it is Sunday here on the East Coast if you're watching live. An hour show might be good, and or who knows, I could start like another stream and like bring some people on. I don't know. So are any of my regulars like up still, I guess? So that's the thing too, is people who listen to this show, like people who listen and who watch, admittedly, are from all over the fucking place. So I don't know. So did you see the fat ISIS guy was arrested? Oh, I saw something like that. Another jihadi. So I say you bring Island on the show, and here's the thing. That might not be the safest thing for me. So, if Island's coming, you're coming with me. Anyway, so, I would rather interview a Trump babe again. So let's see. Let's see. I don't know, but won't positive you can't buy beer on. No, in Florida, I think you can buy beer now. Yeah, I think you can buy beer in Florida on Sunday. I think Utah is the only state. So, but I was recently looking for Florida. Let's see. Oh, that's real. That's real. That's real. Reassuring. So, maybe I'll go hang out with my lady friend down in Florida. So, who may or may not be an aspiring playmate. I don't know. Let's see. I'm okay. Okay, are we talking about beer now? I don't know. I don't know, folks. This really sucks for the people listening on audio, so I will probably cut this part out. For those of you listening on the audio show, I'm pretty much we're now talking about beer in the live chat, I guess. So I don't know. Get that? Okay. Well, I mean, if you're offering Spira, then okay. Let's see. Is the Gamma in the building? Is the apex of Gammas here? I know he's always down to stream. So, let's see. It's in it for multiple convo. Yeah, that's the other thing. Is my stream becomes the internet. For those listening on the audio podcast, my stream tends to become the internet's late night chat room on Saturday night, which I don't mind. People are free to. You're not going to get banned from this channel for having, like, conversations with each other. So. Alright. Let's see. How many people do we have watching this thing, anyway? 11? Well, we've got 11 likes for 11 people, and we're an hour and 9 minutes in. So, if nobody has, like, any other, questions or has, like, a topic that needs to be brought up, I guess I will close out for the evening then. So, Apex Gamma, yeah, he's funny. Yeah, he is. So what? Apex Gamma is a good dude. So, let's see. Sam's a tyrant. We will all be banned after the stream. Maybe. Maybe. Well, I mean, you're a Storm of Wrenches. A Storm of Wrenches is more of a tyrant than I am. But seriously, guys, in all honesty, thanks for coming on and for supporting the show and supporting me on my birthday. It's been a blast, folks, and I will talk at you guys down the road. Since there is a holiday Monday, I may do a stream at some point on Monday for the holiday. Because the way we celebrate birthdays in my family, we celebrate them all week. Oh, and also, folks, for those of you wondering why there was no show on Thursday, that was because I was starting classes for the new semester this week, so I was just simply too busy, and I actually have classes on Thursdays now, so new episodes are still going to come out for the new episodes are still going to come out on Thursdays for the Thursday podcast, but they might be like Wednesday or something. So, yeah, so stay tuned for info on that. And other than that, folks, unless you guys have anything else that needs my desperate attention, that will do it. Thank you all for tuning in, and God bless and God save this great nation, as my friend Neri used to like to say. God, freedom, legacy in that order, and God bless, and I will see you most likely either tomorrow or Monday for a stream. Details to be announced, of course. Alright, folks, thanks for watching, and God bless. I'll see you next time on the Whitfield Report. Hey there, folks. If you've made it this far to the end of the podcast, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to the show. You are the ones that make it possible for me to make an income from podcasting, and I greatly appreciate that just by listening to our show. You are helping us gain ad revenue. However, if you would really like to help support the show, I encourage you to please donate to the podcast and become a supporter of the show. You can head over to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and click the support this podcast button and choose the amount that suits you to support the show. Or you can click the link in the show notes and it will directly take you to that page. If you can support the podcast, I really, really appreciate that. Anything that you can do to help out is greatly appreciated. Even if you can't afford to help financially support the podcast, I encourage you to please go on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, and please leave this podcast a positive 5-star review. That really helps us out here at the Whitfield Report. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode.